All right. How you doing? This is the Guru. I am live here, and welcome. You're rocking with the Guru's rant. I am here today, and we're going to talk Colorado football. Uh, and Dion Prime Slime Sam. Shout out to all those who are not DDRs of the Prime bandwagon. So we're going to start here. Colorado has made 71 changes on their roster since December. Now, some of that obviously has happened before Slime came aboard. And now I believe they have 44 or 37 who were incoming. And there's certain podcasts out there that are just hyping these recruits. And, much luck to them. Much luck to them. They have a couple 4-stars, I think 2 or 3 5-stars, not including Travis Hunter, I believe that's his name. And, here's the thing, you know, Slime can hide all he wants. He's hiding behind, basically Rick George, his AD who hired him, who basically took a moonshot hoping that he can turn this program around. And listen, the problem that I have, and I think many people have with Slime Sanders, is the fact that, he wants to hide behind shades and a cowboy hat and use big words that he wasn't using at Jackson State. I guess he has to appease the masses in Colorado. Those people are pretty articulate who cover the media, so he should, work on that part of his grammar. But anyway, you come in and you boot out these players who, want an education just as well as play football. And maybe 3% of them are going to make it to the NFL on that team anyway. And I think he's being disingenuous with the fact that on one hand, he's saying, like, I want them to be gentlemen and mothers and fathers and yes, sir, and no, sir, when he's not even married, but that's another story. But on the other hand, he's pumping his Christianity and what I like to call prosperity football. Like saying, hey, you got to get mama out of the hood, and he's focused on mamas. You don't hear him talking about daddies too much because that's his stick right there. He wants to appeal to single mothers, the ones that he put down on the Rich Eisen show on the NFL Network. And people can say what they want. That's what he did. It's funny when someone makes it like him, which is 1 in a million, and you make millions of dollars, and you know how you got there and the God-given talent you had, but yet you want to somehow down other people or make them feel like they're less worthy if they can't play up to your standards. Not everyone is going to the NFL. Your son, Shador, is not going to the NFL, and we'll get to that a little further in this Guru's Reigns program. Again, I want to thank those who are joining me. And, the Colorado media, Go Buffs and the Colorado Buffs Network and the Well Off Media, which is one of his, and Prime to Colorado and John the Liquidator. I can't believe I'm giving him any pub because he's a hired hand who's just hyping everything that just comes his way. The thing is that this is really like trying to reinvent the wheel as far as moving all these recruits out and moving all these recruits in. Now I get it. He had a small roster of players, as far as size, and he heard the cries from everyone. And he put all those guys out, most of them, but he kept Charlie Offerdahl. Now I want to understand why he kept this young man, who he's not going to get much burn or playing time. I think that was just basically a Colorado thing. You're going to waste a scholarship on a player, who happens to be from Littleton, Colorado. For those who don't know, is a nice suburb of Colorado. Because he's a work ethic, because of his work ethic, because he's a dog. Well, what about all the other guys that were working just as hard as him. I think that's to keep the Colorado media off his back. And the Colorado media has been soft with him. They're afraid to ask questions, either that or they're being told by Rick George, the athletic director, look, don't ask him certain questions. Because we know the man just wants an easy ride through the media. He can't stand when people ask him tough questions. And, the Colorado media, Go Buffs, and all these other DDR networks that are supporting him are afraid to put the screws to him. So it's got to be people like myself on Guru's Rant and other website portals. And I'm sorry if I don't remember, yours right off the back, but I know there are other ones out there that feel the same way I do. So we can get the right information. The man hasn't given a press conference in about 3 weeks. He's showcasing his son, and there's supposed to be this big hoopla about his son, Shiloh, being a graduate transfer. For those who don't know, that's who he's saving number 21 for. And, kudos to the young men who are coming in. We don't know if they can play. I can tell you this much. They're definitely cast off, okay? If you go, excuse me, and you look at a lot of their stats, I mean, you can go down the line of all these players. They weren't getting playing time where they were. Very little playing time, Now, I'm not saying that they can't play. Maybe they were just third string and it just wasn't enough playing time for them. Well, you go into Colorado and the hope is that you can play, because like the defensive coordinator said, who was, he wasn't even the defense coordinator at Alabama. He says, we need players that look the part. Okay. You have that now. Now you got to turn them into dogs, because apparently where they were, Georgia, Florida State, USF, all these different schools, Marshall, you name the schools, they're coming from all over, so they can get a chance to play. And here's the thing: it's the coach's job to coach these players up, regardless of where they come from. There is no excuses when you make that many transfers. When you have 71 out and you have to fill it, there's no excuses. You have to be coming this year. This year, you have to be coming. And teams are going to be salivating to get their hands on it. And they will. They will, because I don't see how you can put a unit together and expect them to be a cohesive unit in jail just in a couple months. It's just not going to happen. I don't believe it's going to happen. They're all coming from different systems. And the excuse will be, once they start losing, well, we got all these guys from different places. It takes them a while to get adjusted to the program. We don't want to hear that. We want to hear everything that you're talking about and you're hiding. Prime, has a tendency, well, this has always been, he always had a me first attitude. I can remember a game against the Buffalo Bills when he was, I think it was his last season with Atlanta. They were getting their butts kicked like 40-3. Slime picks off a pass, runs it back, I guess 70 yards for a touchdown, and he high steps in the end zone and 20 yards out. When you're losing like 40-3, now I don't know if that was the exact score, but the game was totally over. And this is when the Bills were, a pretty dominant team with Jim Kelly and Thurman Thomas in the crew. So we know that me first attitude. Just like at Jackson State when they were trying to present him the trophy. He shoos his fling off the stage, and then he said, telling them to hurry up. He's got a plane to catch to get to Colorado. If it was up to him, he wouldn't even accept the award. You can see how selfish he is just during that process. The very people who gave him the opportunity to even go to Colorado. The guy who said he trying to change the lives of the players at HBCUs, recruit to HBCUs and get them to come there. But like my man said, the first pretty girl he saw, he was out of there. He was out of there quick. And then on top of that, tried to bash him, speaking private stuff about the administration. ticket sales, how he's not getting his cut. You got your cut when you got the job. And Talladega University had to give you a degree so you can coach. Yeah, that's right. You weren't studying. You know you needed that to coach. They say, hey, Prime, like, we want you. We know you can do something for us, but you got to have a degree, man. So Talladega hands him a degree, and, you know, in exchange, he gives a commencement. So there you go from there, and he's coaching. You know, at Florida State, they had a rule. They called it the Deion Sanders rule because he never went to class. They knew he didn't go to class, but he meant so much to the university and what he could do for them financially that they let it slide. And then they tried to save face by saying, well, we're going to make this rule now. And Prime said, look, I'm done with school. You know, he was never there for that. So he's talking about education and these things. But on the same hand, you know, Colorado is like a prestigious university. And maybe some kids wanted to stay there just to get their education. But they didn't have that opportunity with you. You said they did, but you didn't make them feel welcome. You know, who's going to want to stay around a football program when the coach says, look, you know, we don't want you here. All right. You know, you go ahead and jump in that portal. I'm getting some players for my son and for my other son who's coming. And you talk about Travis Hunter, who I have no beef with, you know. I hope the young man does good, but I can tell you right now, we don't know what Travis Hunter is yet. We really don't. We didn't see that much at Jackson State. We saw flashes. I'm not saying that he can't play or develop, but if you have this man trying to play two ways in the Pac-12, you're going to ruin his career. You know why? Because coaches aren't going to be able to evaluate him properly. And that's a high level of concern for me. Forget all the NIL money that he's gotten and that Shadur's gotten. And let's go to Shadur while we're talking about, because really he's the elephant in the room. You got all these players that you want to surround your son with. I don't think he can play Pac-12 football. No one's talking about that. He hasn't recruited any quarterbacks to come in and challenge him. It's his show. And, you know, it doesn't matter how many games they're going to lose. They're going to keep him in there. It's going to be a problem for the offensive coordinator, Sean, whatever his name is, who had a losing record at Kent State, by the way. But yeah, he's supposed to be this offensive genius. Okay, we're going to see. We're going to see against this Pac-12 team. Now, at Jackson State, he was surrounded by really good talent for the SWAC, you know, for HBCU level. He had really good talent, more talent than all the other teams. He was able to sit back in that pocket, go through all his progressions, and make a throw. That's not going to happen at this level. All right. South Carolina State, shout out to them. In North Carolina Central, shout out to them, who made him look like he was just ordinary, average. I don't care how close that game was against NCCU. He lost. So he didn't deliver there, even with all that talent. So you expect to go to the Buffs, University of Colorado, and insert your son, who has basically a wind-up throwing delivery. I listen, that's probably one of the worst throwing deliveries I have seen on a quarterback. You know, it might work for some people, like it's long, it's a wind-up like a baseball throw. He even did a hitch on a slant in a spring scrimmage against the people he got rid of. So there should be reason for concern. Just like Brandon Marshall said, it's going to be more than altitude in Colorado that you're going to have to deal with. You know, you're going to have to deal with tight coverage on corners. You're going to have to deal with linebackers who are exceptionally fast. There's a reason you were in the SWAC. And I don't want to hear you came to Colorado. I mean, you came to Jackson State to play for your father. Yeah, you were recruited by Florida Atlantic or one of those schools as a 3-star recruit. But you knew that if you went to Jackson State and your father was the coach, he can control your destiny, at least as far as what you did at Jackson State. And look, you did really well with a stacked team in a conference that didn't have the resources or the power of the players that you were going up against. Well, it's a whole new ball game now. And it all starts with the quarterback. So I'm more concerned about the quarterback position than any other position, really. And we'll be able to tell during these practices during the summer how he competes against the players that he's coming in. Or if his daddy's going to be like, look, let him complete passes, don't jump on the routes and blah, blah, blah. No, we're going to hear how he's doing in those practices with all his new talent. You talk about your little slot receiver from USF. Oh, he's a real pro. Stop it. Okay, just stop it. He's not a pro. You don't have a pro on that team right now. They're college players. And you're going up against other college players. And you want to talk about Matt Rule and, Matt Rule's right. He doesn't have all these bots, these media portals. Prime has a call center of people to attack anyone who says anything bad against him. People in the Colorado media will not put the screws to him and ask him tough questions. He wears that silly cowboy hat because he doesn't want to wear a Nike hat. Because, and again, this goes back to how selfish he is. Because Colorado has a Nike contract and he's down with Under Armour. So that's why he's wearing that silly hat. He looks ridiculous. You see him dancing on all the portals. And another thing, for a man to be so Christian, you're bringing in Rick Ross. You have the guy from 2 Live Crew speaking for you. I can't remember his name. You got Lil Wayne. This is Christian man now. So he's bringing in rappers. Where are the gospel singers at? Hallelujah. Where are they at? I didn't see him bring in one of them. You know why? Because he's appealing to the world and he's a hypocrite. If he's such a Christian, won't you bring in a God? There's plenty of gospel singers you can bring in to meet your team, to bless y'all in the locker room. But no, you're bringing people who are just basically ruining Black society with their music. But we're supposed to look at them as, upstanding citizens. Luke, whatever his name, Luke Campbell from 2 Live Crew. The man's like 60 years old. And who cares what he has to say for Deion Sanders? He's the reason that these people are singing this nasty rap music now, why girls are like city girls now, because of, music that he brought in. So, I don't want to hear it about this man being this upstanding Christian guy. I think people know who he is. He's endorsing Bacardi. Why? Because of the dollar, not because of he's trying to not promote alcohol. He's doing it for the money. He's doing it for himself. And I know people say, well, it's his opportunity and you're hating and blah, blah, blah. I don't have to hate. I live perfectly well. I'm giving commentary like anybody else. Some people are going to like it. Some people aren't. And we'll find out about the coaches on his staff. Yes, they come from different programs. But let me tell you one thing. Slime, he's not coaching anything. He's just there to bring in the players. He doesn't know X's and O's. He knew how to play cornerback. He wasn't the greatest cornerback who ever played. Y'all can stop that there. He wasn't better than Rod Woodson. He was not. He wasn't even better than Eric Wright, who most of y'all don't know, who was the original 21 for the 49ers, who played from 81 to 90. And I believe he played in 4 Super Bowls. He wasn't, it's just made up that he is. He wasn't a tackler. Yeah, he could run. And he had like a 5-year period where he was a good cover corner. Most corners are kind of washed up by 29 because of the demand of the position, how quick you have to be, keep up with those young receivers that are coming in every year. So I'll give it to him. And, his best seasons were from 89 to like 96. That was it. After that, he was ordinary. Ask Terrell Davis, Terrell Owens. Ask Marvin Harrison. Ask Randy Moss. So I'm going to leave that there for those who think he was the greatest. He was not. And I guarantee you anybody who played, his peers who played with him, will tell you that. Okay? There's plenty of film of him getting burnt. Plenty. So, and again, it's Guru's rant. So I'm ranting. But these coaches are doing all the work. He was asked by a Colorado reporter, well, how involved are you into day-to-day things? And he couldn't answer him. He didn't want to answer him. He just said, you'll see. You know, it's good. It's good. Well, I mean, you can give something, but he's so hell bent on people reminding everyone that he's a head coach. We know that you're not a schematic guy. We know that the coaches are doing all the legwork. You're putting all the pressure on them. You're not even delegating anything. You're a figurehead. That's why TCU didn't give you the job. That's why Liberty didn't give you the job. He said he had offers. I can tell you right now, the only offer he had was Colorado. That was the only offer he had. And he took that and he ran with it. He couldn't get out of Jackson quick enough. He's got his daughter on the number 6 ranked basketball team in the country when she couldn't even get 2 minutes a game at Jackson State. So that shows you how desperate Colorado is to have him there. You paying him $5.5 million? Hey, yeah, take the money and go. But say, look, I always wanted this type of job. Don't say that, look, I'm here to lift HBCUs and, lie about you're doing this for this facility. Jackson State never said that you donated half your salary. So I don't know why people believe in it. Jackson State has to come out and say that. They said he helped out with some things and amenities and things like that, got some donations, but he never gave half his salary. Let's make that clear. And until you hear that from Jackson State University, it's not true. Okay? He said he goes to sleep. You have to go to bed with Jackson State football team. You got to go to bed with Colorado football team, but maybe not because all your coaches are doing the legwork for you. You have your son implanted at quarterback. I wonder if you're going to say he's a Heisman candidate then. Why isn't anyone asking him that question in the Colorado media? You wanted him up for the Heisman last year. You said his name should be in the conversation. Well, he's in a conference with Caleb Williams out of USC. Okay? DJ Uiagalelei, Oregon State. Nix at Oregon. The Washington State quarterback, who I think is a really good quarterback. So we'll see if he mentions that then. But everything starts with the QB. And he's out flossing. He's in Florida and he's on shopping sprees and he's doing this and he's doing that. He needs to be working on his throwing motion. You send Travis Hunter and him to Texas. Why don't you send the whole team to Texas? That's the division that's going to be between that team. That's why a lot of people left. They saw what you were doing. Now, the players you're bringing in, it's kind of like last chance you. A bunch of graduate students and people who just weren't getting the burn that they needed at other universities because they had players in front of them. And look, God bless those young men. I hope that they do well. I'm not rooting for their failure. I'm not rooting for Prime's failure. I just know that he will be a failure because of the way he's doing things. And the way that, Colorado's just so desperate for a winner. You bring in Cordell Stewart, who Lord knows what he's been doing to talk up the program. Where was he the last 10 years or 15 years talking about the program when they needed help? You want everyone to support you. You call Robert Brazile and says, I need you to support me. He wants everyone to support him. That's why you have all these bots attacking me and anybody else who speaks against him and what he's doing. And that's okay. I'll be here for the burn once the season starts. Just don't you go anywhere. All right? Don't you go anywhere. So if you want my prediction on their record, they might win against Air Force. I just don't see them. Colorado State, maybe. But the rest of them, it's a wrap. Utah, USC, Oregon, TCU. You can forget it. Forget it. And I can't wait to see him walk his little monkey tail in that press conference with that cowboy hat on and make all his excuses. And it's about time the Colorado media ask him some real questions. You guys seem to be on this magic carpet ride just to have someone of notoriety in the building who's never coached before. There was a reason TCU and all them other schools didn't hire him. They looked in his background. They saw how he was. Colorado, look, they used to be a proud university, man, as far as athletics, and football in particular. The great Bill McCartney hasn't come out publicly and supported him. At least I haven't heard it. I haven't seen them two in the same space, right? I haven't seen them two in the new locker room with him. No, it's all about celebrity. It's all about the flash, like it's always been about him. So for those who are out there, this is my rant, my first rant that I wanted to get off in this month of the new year of May 7th, 2023. Look for more content from me. Feel free to come at me. I'm all for the smoke. I'm all for his fake supporters, his fake Christianity. And yeah, so I'm going to sign out. This is Guru's Rant. Shout out to GRT Sports and all the other networks that are out there trying to make it happen. I'm giving it to you straight from the hip. I'm signing out. Peace.